Fight Night on DAZN, brought to you by that prize guy.
I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. You like to move it. Physically fit, physically fit, physically. Come on. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. You like to move it.
London life is all about living with differences. The opposites that attract, the riddles, the paradoxes, the exceptional and the contradictory. They're part of who we are. They make London what it is. You can feel it in the air. Cypress and Grapevine, Joe Malone, London.
Fight Night on DAZN, brought to you by that prize guy. The following programme is recommended for those 16 and over, as it contains sporting violence, possible bad language, and flashing imagery.
This is the moment the world has been waiting for. The judges are ready, the fighters are ready, the boxing world is ready. The fight starts now!
How do you like it? On the show. So aggressive, so focused. It all comes down to this. With a corner knockdown. Still the undisputed champion of the world. Weigh in live on DAZN.
Well, a very good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to Fight Week in Birmingham. It's the final hurdle to a crack at the World Championship for Olympic champion Galal Yafai, who faces Mexico's Francisco Rodriguez Jr. in defence of his WBC interim flyweight title from BP Pulse Live, only on DAZN tomorrow night. It's the Friday of Fight Week. That means it's weigh-in day, and it's time to make all 8 contests official. Well, let's give you a little reminder from top to bottom of what is coming your way tomorrow night in terms of action. The live DAZN broadcast begins at the usual time of 7 p.m. 5 fights make up the card. A change in proceedings from yesterday, because now, kicking things off, will be the professional debut of 18-year-old Bristol super bantamweight Tia Ayton, an unbeaten amateur star, 5 times national champion, world gold medalist, straight in at 6 rounds on the big stage against Sarah Orsagi for Tia tomorrow night. That will be followed by the return of Patrick Bomber Brown, after an explosive entrance to the pro game in March when he headlined on his debut. The Mancunian is back for fight number 2 when he faces Ivan Duka over 6 cruiserweight rounds. Peter McGrail was due to face Shabazz Massoud, but that Maverick was unfortunately forced out through injury. Now in steps Romanian danger man Ionut Baluta. The narrative building nicely for that one. WBA international strap on the line over 10 super bantamweight rounds, and there's a welterweight war to look forward to as well, as Conor Walker makes the first defence of his British title against Liam Taylor, before, of course, the main event. Olympic champion, now 9-0 professional Galal Yafai headlines in his home city of Birmingham in defence of that WBC interim title, knowing he's potentially just 1 win away from a shot at world gold. But first must come through Francisco Rodriguez Jr., who has ideas of his own tomorrow night. Before that, though, plenty to look forward to on Before the Bell, 4:30 p.m. Matchroom and DAZN YouTube channels, and opening Before the Bell, 4-0 prospect Hamza Udin fights for the 2nd time this year in his second 8-rounder. The 21-year-old meets 8-2 Leonardo Blanc of Argentina. Exciting Birmingham talent Ibrahim Spider Suleiman looks to move 8-0 against Brian Phillips over 8 rounds in the super featherweight division. The highly rated 7-0 Giorgio Vizioli returns after a string of eye-catching performances over 8 rounds against Elias Duguay, and fan-friendly middleweight Aaron Bowen concludes prelim proceedings as he steps up to 8 rounds for the first time as well. Jamie Ward here alongside me as always, former IBF World Middleweight Champion Mr. Darren Barker. Darren, 8 fights to look forward to. You joked yesterday, you're earning your money on Before the Bell, but in terms of a pick, what are you most looking forward to?
I mean, the main event, very, very important for Galal. He's very close now to realising the dream. That also adds a lot of pressure. Can't afford to slip up here. Rodriguez, a very capable fighter, and he's got the chance as well to really make his name in the sport. But I like McGraw Baluta.
That's building
I
really
really,
nicely,
really like that fight. It's a real test. Baluta, we know he's a banana skin for many, and it's a proper fight. But again, the bunch that you mentioned on before the bell there, a classic before the bell, full of so much talent, and yeah, looking forward to that.
I have to ask you, you mentioned the McGrail-Baluta fight there. As a fighter, we know Baluta has wins over two of Peter McGrail's stablemates in Andrew Kane and Brad Strand. Does that add fuel to the fire for you?
Yeah,
Because
I
Peter
think
so.
so.
Look, he's not just fighting for himself, he's fighting for the gym tomorrow night.
Look, it works both ways. There's pressure. You don't want to be number 3. You don't want to be that hat-trick. So, yeah, there will be the bit between his teeth. This is a fight I believe we could see the best of Peter McGraw, because we're going to have to see the best. Baluta, I'm telling you, he's a real fighter. He's tough. He's no nonsense. He's been there, he's done it, he's seen it all before. So, yeah, real acid test.
And you have to say, Conor Walker against Liam Taylor. Everyone loves watching Conor Walker, very popular, a fan favourite. We always say wherever the pack goes, they follow the wolf, because they love Conor Walker, they love watching him fight, they love what he brings to the table. When you look at this fight, particularly in comparison to the Harry Scarf style, a difficult style for anyone. We know he found the shot that night, but these two, in terms of recipe, makes for a much better
Yeah, I think so, because, look, we know a lot about Conor Walker, so I'll just touch on Liam Taylor. This is his chance to realise his dream, to become a British champion. You know, he really, really desperately wants to get this. This is what he's dreamt about for years and years and years. Had a little bit of a layoff, but he's energised, he's ready to go, he's in good form, and he's going to give it everything. And when I look at this stylistically, I think it would gel quite quickly.
And what a moment, just quickly as well, for Tia Ayton. I mean, she was due to open before the bell in her professional debut, and now she's straight in, opening the live broadcast. A big moment, no doubt.
Yeah. I mean, she's a monster. You wouldn't think so talking to her. She's a lovely, lovely lady. But, I mean, as far as talent concerned, she's on another level. 21 amateur fights, 21 wins, 9 or 10 by stoppage, 5 times national champion. She's won a Box Cup. She's won the World Juniors. This girl could be the future of the female game.
Okay, well, professional debuts to be made, titles to be won, final hurdles to be cleared in the main event. 8 fights to look forward to on DAZN tomorrow night. Let's make them official, get the weigh-in underway with our MC, Mr. David Diamante.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It's an absolute pleasure to welcome everybody here today to Birmingham, England, for the official weigh-in for our big night of World Championship Professional Boxing, taking place here tomorrow night at the BP Pulse Live Arena. And it's all being brought to you courtesy of Mr. Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Boxing. We're sponsored by Betfred, Drip, Riyadh Season, Tom Insurance, That Prize Guy, Victory Live, and Everlast. Of course, all the action will go out live around the world exclusively on DAZN. Ladies and gentlemen, what a fight card we have. 9 fights in total. We have 3 title fights, and at the top of the bill, Galal Yafai, Francisco Rodriguez, 12 rounds for the WBC Interim Flyweight Championship of the World. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start this weigh-in. Let's bring the fighters up to the stage so they can face the scale and face each other. Our first contest, 8 rounds in the flyweight division. Now making his way to the stage from Entre Rios, Argentina. He's a 2016 Olympian. His professional record, 8 wins against 2 defeats. He has 3 wins coming by way of knockout. Please welcome Moscalito, Leandro Blanc. His opponent now making his way to the stage. His professional record thus far perfect, 4 fights, 4 victories, one of them coming by way of knockout. Fighting out of Walsall, he is the former 8-time amateur national champion, 7-time international gold medalist, Hamza the Great Udin. Now to the scale, Moscalito, Leandro Blanc.
114.9 for Leandro Blanc. 114.9 from Moscolito. Now to the scale, the undefeated Hamza the Great, Udin. 115.7 for Hamza the Great. 115.7 for Hamza Udin.
Good fighter. He's not fought in just over a year, but his pedigree's there. Boxing the World Series of Boxing. He's a decent fighter. He's been around. He has that pedigree.
Hamza Udin, Leandro Blanc, 8 rounds flyweights, matchroom boxing live on the DAZN from Birmingham, England.
Developing here in this part of the country, and more to come tomorrow night. Here's David.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, our next contest, 8 rounds in the super featherweight division, making his way to the stage. 12 wins, 4 defeats, 3 knockouts. He's a Scouser. He fights out of Liverpool. Brian Phillips. His opponent making his way to the stage, undefeated, 7 fights, 7 victories, 4 knockouts. He fights out of right here in Birmingham. Please welcome the former 4-time amateur national champion, Ibrahim Spider Suleiman. Now to the scale, Brian Phillips. 132.8 for Brian Phillips, 132.8. Now to the scale, Spider, Ibrahim Suleiman. $132.4 for Ibrahim Spider Suleiman, 132.4.
Yep, 7-0 now, 4 knockouts for Ibrahim Spider Suleiman. Banked 8 rounds in January for the first time. That would have done him the world of good. No nonsense. Not a huge fan of interviews, Darren, but once that bell rings, that is where the excitement truly comes.
He's an animal. He's spiteful, naturally aggressive, very quick hands, and he generates a lot of power because of that speed. Phillips, though, look, he's a good fighter. The big question for me is how much does he have left? Not been in the ring for a couple of years, but he's capable. Good hands himself, good head movement. And this is a good test for Suleiman, who, like I said, is a very, very talented fighter and one to watch for sure.
Yep, 12-4 Phillips. Only stopped once by Nick Ball a few years back, being the distance with Michael Gomez Jr., Reece Edwards, to name a couple. Suleiman looking to excite in Birmingham tomorrow night.
Ibrahim Suleiman, Brian Phillips, 8 rounds, super featherweights, matchroom boxing live on the DAZN from Birmingham, England.
Lots of exciting young talent on before the bell to look forward to tomorrow night. And there's another rising young star who features tomorrow, who has been turning a lot of heads with eye-catching performance after eye-catching performance. Here's David to bring him to the stage.
We're going to stay in the super featherweight division. We got an 8-round contest now making his way to the stage. Professional record, 7 victories, 1 defeat, 1 draw, with 2 wins coming by way of knockout. He fights out of Buenos Aires, Argentina. Please welcome Elias Federico Duguet. And his opponent, Nate, making his way to the stage, undefeated professional record, 7-0 with 6 knockouts. He fights out of Aldershot, Hampshire, Giorgio Vizioli. Now to the scale, Elias Federico Duguet. $132.5 for Duguet, $132.5. Now to the scale, Giorgio Vizioli. $133 bang on for Giorgio Vizioli, $133.
Now, there's a lot of good prospects in British boxing right now, Darren. Giorgio Vizioli being talked about as one of the most exciting, one of the best prospects in British boxing right now. Through 7 fights, what are you enjoying?
What isn't there like to enjoy? I mean, he's got everything, hasn't he? Razor sharp hands, razor sharp reactions, the footwork, the IQ. You know, look, a former two-time, two-weight ABA champion. That shows the pedigree that he has from the former green and gold of Repton. But Duguet can fight. Not lost in over 18 months, went 10 rounds last time. So he's experienced, knows how to fight, knows how to look after himself. So this is a real test for Giorgio Vizioli.
Vizioli versus Duguet, 8-round super featherweights, matchroom boxing, live on DAZN from Birmingham, England.
Yep, 7-0 now, as I said, for Giorgio Vizioli. 6 knockouts dispatched of Kane Baker in brilliant fashion last time out in April. Argentinian Elias Duguet, the opponent, 7-1-1. Third fight tomorrow on Before the Bell. But Giorgio Vizioli, as I keep saying, really turning heads right now and has his eyes set on domestic titles towards the end of the year. From one fan favourite to another, here's David.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the weigh-in continues. Our next contest, 8 rounds in the middleweight division, making his way to the stage at this time. 15 victories, 7 defeats, 9 wins coming by way of knockout. He fights out of Nuremberg, Germany. Please welcome Mikola Wolf. And his opponent now making his way to the stage. Undefeated professional record, 5 fights, 5 victories, 3 of them coming by way of knockout. He's the former 5-time amateur national champion, fighting out of Coventry, Aaron Bowen. Now to the scale, Mikola Wolf. $163.5 for Wolf, $163.5. Now to the scale, the undefeated Aaron Bowen. $164.1 for Aaron Bowen, $164.1.
Well, speaking of exciting fighters, Coventry middleweight Aaron Bowen, all action. This is first 8-rounder, Darren. Those extra 6 minutes, how do you think that will influence his performance? Because I think his biggest criticism of himself is he's been just a little bit eager through the 6 rounds, the crowd please at times.
Yeah, and I don't mind that, selfishly. When I've sat there commentating on him, it is brilliant to watch. The fight against James Todd was unforgettable. Probably the best fight, as Eddie said yesterday, we've seen him before the bell. But look, with the more rounds you do, you slightly slow down a little bit. Vok there just labelling the difference in height, but yeah, a really good fight and a really good fighter.
Aaron Bowen versus Mikola Wolf, 8 rounds middleweights, matchroom boxing, live on DAZN from Birmingham, England.
Yep, 5-0 now, Aaron Bowen, 3 knockouts, 26 years old. Banked a solid 6 rounds on the Crocker-Donovan card in March earlier this year over in Belfast. Big dreams to headline the Ricoh Arena one day. seems his amateur rival from the Commonwealth Games, Taylor Bevan, despite operating at different weights right now. Those two have had mutual opponents. Seems they might be on a bit of collision course.
And the one I've got to just quickly add, Shani Singh, I see him recently at Haringey Box Cup, and he wanted to point out that the common opponent they had, Cachero, was 12 pounds heavier than Bowen when he fought him. So, albeit Taylor Bevan got the stoppage, he was given a lot of weight away, was Aaron Bowen. But look, it's a fight hopefully we see one day.
Aaron Bowen, a Commonwealth Games bronze medalist, Taylor Bevan, a Commonwealth Games silver medalist, in front of over 400 of his fans tomorrow. Certainly a popular man is Aaron Bowen. Here's David. Professional debut underway tomorrow.
Our next contest will kick off the global telecast as we go 6 rounds in the super bantamweight division. Now making her way to the stage, her professional record, 2 victories against 7 defeats, fighting out of Ica, Hungary, Sarah Orzagi. Her opponent making her way to the stage on Saturday night. She'll be making her much anticipated professional debut. Undefeated as an amateur, she's a former 5-time amateur national champion and amateur world champion, fighting out of Bristol. Please welcome for the first time to the stage, Tia May Ayton. Now to scale, Sarah Orzagi. 117.6 for Orzagi. 117.6. Now to the scale, Tia May Ayton. $119.9 for Tia May Ayton. $119.9.
Well, here we go then, the beginning of the professional boxing journey for Tia May Ayton, just 18 years of age. Hundreds of fights as a youngster across different disciplines, boxing, kickboxing, unbeaten since she was 8 years old, Darren. But this is it, as I say, you only get one debut, she's on the live broadcast. This is her moment.
I mean, if there's ever somebody you'd label as born to fight, I guess it would be Tia May Ayton. You know, been doing it from such a young age. I think in all the combined combat sports that she's done, she's only lost 3. And I think there's about 300 plus fights that she's had. But unbeaten in the boxing ring. 21, as we say, as an amateur, picked up all those titles, the world youth. And from what I'm hearing from the team, trainers and people that know her, is she's the real deal. Fiery as you like in the ring, explosive, heavy hitting, and an all action style.
It's Bristol versus Budapest. Tia May Ayton versus Sarah Orzagi. 6 rounds, super bantamweights, matchroom boxing, live on DAZN from Birmingham, England.
Yep, Sarah Orzagi, the opponent, did take Emily Whitworth on a matchroom show in October last year. The distance on the Catchall Pro Grade card in Manchester. Tia wants to make an emphatic start. 6-2s opens the broadcast tomorrow night on DAZN from 7 p.m. Cannot wait for this journey to begin.
Proper derby, that. Yeah, Bristol versus Budapest.
North London derby, the Old Firm derby, El Clasico, Bristol versus Budapest. Certainly one for the list. Pat Brown also back in action tomorrow night for the second time as a professional. Here's David.
All right, let's keep it rolling. Our next contest, we're going to go 6 rounds in the cruiserweight division. Making his way to the stage at this time, his professional record, 5 wins against 5 defeats. He's got 3 wins coming by way of knockout. He fights out of Split, Croatia. Please welcome Ivan Juka. And his opponent now making his way to the stage. His young professional record thus far perfect. 1 fight, 1 victory, and that victory came by way of knockout. Here's the former 2-time amateur national champion, the 2024 Olympian, fighting out of Sale, Manchester, Patrick the Bomber Brown. Now to the scale, Ivan Juka. 206.7 for Ivan Juka. 206.7. Now to the scale, the bomber, Patrick Brown. $209.6 for Patrick Brown, $209.6 for the bomber.
Olympian Pat Brown back in action tomorrow night. I mean, he headlined on his debut, Darren, and I think everyone felt the pressure for him that night in March. I mean, headlining on your debut is one thing. That is very rare, but to walk out in front of that support, a sold-out arena, against what turned into be a very tough test against Federico Grandoni.
Yeah.
Do you think he'll feel a bit calmer this time round?
I think so. I think that was a big box tick last time out. Dealt with the pressure. Perhaps a little over-eager, but I don't mind that. I always say that with the debutants. You know, look, they've got that fire in their eye. They want to impress, and there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. The man is a great man. He's a lovely fella. He can box. I'm going to say he's the strongest cruiserweight in the division, having seen him lift Dave Allen on his shoulders. But I think it's one of those, buckle your seatbelts. The Pat Brown journey is going to be one hell of a ride.
Patrick the Bomber Brown, Ivan Juka, 6 rounds, cruiserweights, matchroom boxing, live on DAZN from Birmingham, England.
He was saying he'd never tried on the small gloves until he got in the dressing room on fight night. He actually said to me after the fight, he wanted to feel what the shots felt like.
Yeah, I mean, he's crazy as well then. He's a nice lad. He's the strongest cruiserweight and he's nuts.
He ticks a lot of... He's got that star quality, barking at the camera.
Oh, he does. And look, most importantly, Jamie, look, with all of that aside, he's very, very popular, and you can build a star around that popularity and the style.
Yeah, Pat back in action in 2 weeks' time in Manchester. But firstly, professional fight number 2 for Bomber Brown is tomorrow night. Back to David.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's now in the first of our 3 title fights of the night, as Mr. Eddie Hearn from Matchroom Boxing, in association with Frank Warren from Queensberry Promotions, are proud to present 10 rounds for the WBA International Super Bantamweight Championship. Now please welcome to the stage the challenger. His professional record, 17 victories, 5 defeats, 1 draw, with 3 wins coming by way of knockout. Here is the reigning WBO European Super Bantamweight champion, originally from Constanta, Romania, and now living, training, and fighting out of Marbella, Spain. Please welcome Yonut Il Capo Baluta. Baluta. And his opponent now making his way to the stage, he is the defending champion. He's a southpaw with an excellent professional record, 11 victories, 1 defeat, 6 wins coming by way of knockout. Representing the Everton Red Triangle Club, here is the 2020 Olympian fighting out of Liverpool. Here is the reigning and defending WBA International Super Bantamweight champion, Peter Blood McGrail. McGrail. Now to the scale, Il Capo, Yonut Baluta. $121.9 for Il Capo, $121.9 for Baluta. Now to the scale, Peter McGrail. $121.9 for Peter McGrail. $121.9 for Peter Blood McGrail.
Both McGrail and Baluta weighing in inside that super bantamweight 122-pound limit. Baluta, of course, as we were saying earlier, beat Brad Strand last time out, a stablemate of Peter's. Also holds a win over Andrew Kane, another stablemate of Peter McGrail's at the Everton Red Triangle Gym. And the Romanian says he will make it a hat-trick of wins against the gym tomorrow night. Never been stopped in those 5 fights, but Peter says as we talked about earlier, Darren, not just fighting for himself and his own career, big fights on the horizon for Peter McGrail. He's had a lot of bad luck with opponents, but this is for pride as well.
Yeah, it's a massive fight, it really is. Baluta's that kind of fighter. If you're not 100%, he'll make you suffer in that ring. He can suffocate you, he can make you feel vulnerable, he really can. He's a dangerous live wire of an opponent. But Peter McGrail, his talent is incredible. His boxing know-how, remarkable. And this could be his time to shine in what you'd have to say is toughest test on paper.
Shame we don't have Eddie Hearn on the stage to translate today. But this one really building nicely. Third fight on the live broadcast tomorrow night. Peter McGrail versus Yanut Baluta.
Cracking fight this. Peter Blood McGrail, Yanut Baluta. 10 rounds for the WBA International Super Bantamweight Championship. Matchroom Boxing in association with Queensberry Promotions, live on DAZN from Birmingham, England.
Well, McGrail was talked about, the British title, but looking where he is now, looking at the type of opponents he's facing, all going well for him tomorrow night. No doubt he'll be assessing the options of what might lay ahead. The British title will be on the line tomorrow night in the chief support. Conor Walker found the shot out of the fire, was way behind on the scorecards against Harry Scarf last time out. Darren Barker challenged him to throw the kitchen sink. That he did. Landed the shot, Darren, realised the dream and became British champion. Big moment for Conor Walker. The first defence he's in there with Liam Taylor tomorrow night. Here's David.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's now time to weigh in the chief support of the evening as we go 12 rounds for the British Welterweight Championship. Now making his way to the stage, please welcome the challenger. Professional record, 28 victories, 2 defeats, 1 draw, with 14 wins coming by way of knockout. He fights out of Middleton, Manchester. Here is the former WBO European Welterweight Champion, Liam Taylor. And now making his way to the stage, please welcome the defending champion. Professional record, 15 victories, 3 defeats, 1 draw, with 6 wins coming by way of knockout. He fights out of Wolverhampton. Please welcome the reigning and defending British welterweight champion, Conor "The Wolf" Walker. Now to the scale, Liam Taylor. Trim and ready, 146.7 for Liam Taylor. 146.7 for Liam Taylor. Now to the scale, Conor "The Wolf" Walker. 146.8 for Conor Walker. 146.8.
Both fighters then weighing in inside the 147-pound welterweight limit. We have a fight. Liam Taylor 28-2, just the 2 defeats. Stylistically, a much better one for Conor Walker. If you come to fight with Conor Walker, there's one winner usually, and that is the fans. We saw that in Conor Walker's epic contest against Lewis Crocker, Darren. But as we talked about earlier this week, you put these two in a ring. I think this spells for a good watch.
I think so, I really do. I think stylistically this will really gel. An important fight for both. I think for Liam Taylor to realise a dream, exactly what Conor Walker's managed to do, winning that British title, will really drive him and get that extra percentage out of Taylor. For Conor Walker, he knows a win here could really set him up into something really, really big. Massive fight for both this, where, as we've touched on, stylistically, it will catch fire nicely, I believe. Conor Walker, whenever he gets in the ring, he leaves it all. Liam Taylor believes that he's still got enough left in the tank to make something special happen. This is one where you're not going to want to blink. stay switched on, stay focused, because this is a proper contest between two proper good fighters.
Connor Walker, Liam Taylor, 12 rounds for the British Welterweight Championship. Matchroom Boxing live on DAZN from Birmingham, England. Chief support tomorrow night.
Yeah, Connor Walker begins life under new training team, Jamie Moore and Nigel Travis. Up in Manchester alongside Pat Brown, who also features on the card. Jack Cattrall as well, of course, who's in a massive fight in a couple of weeks' time for his career against Harlem Eubank. I asked Connor about that, you know, in terms of the team change on the back of your biggest win. That's maybe a little bit unusual. Typically, we see the changes behind the scenes after defeat. And he said he just wanted to be around top fighters day in, day out. Can you understand why?
Yeah, look, you want to add strings to your bow, and it's important that you make the right decisions at the right times, and he feels that's now, and yeah, this is what he's fighting for. Your family, pride. He's a great man with a great opportunity to make something very special happen.
Main event time then, back to David.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's an absolute pleasure to welcome everybody here today to Birmingham, England for the official weigh-in for our big night of World Championship Professional Boxing taking place tomorrow night at the BP Pulse Live Arena. And it's now time to weigh in the main event of the evening, as Mr. Eddie Hearn from Matchroom Boxing is proud to present 12 rounds for the WBC Interim Flyweight Championship of the World. Now making his way to the stage, please welcome the challenger. Professional record, 39 victories, 6 defeats, 1 draw, 27 big wins coming by way of knockout. Here is the former unified IBF and WBO minimum-weight champion of the world, peleando desde Santa Catarina, Nuevo León, Mexico, damas y caballeros, Francisco Chiguas Rodriguez. And his opponent now making his way to the stage, he is the defending champion. Professional record, perfect. 9 fights, 9 victories, 7 of his 9 wins coming by way of knockout. He fights out of right here in the West Midlands, Birmingham, England. He's the 2020 Olympic gold medalist and the reigning, defending, undefeated WBC interim flyweight champion of the world, Galal Yafai. Now to the scale, Francisco Chiguas Rodriguez. $111-1 for Rodriguez. Now to the scale, Galal Yafai. $111.6 for the defending champion, Galal Yafai. $111.6.
We have a fight then, Darren, at the first attempt. This is it, your main event tomorrow night, a massive moment in the career for Galal Yafai. Each fight certainly the next important one at this stage. Rodriguez Jr. bang up for this. 2 exciting styles, expecting this one to catch fire.
Yeah, look, us back home in the UK, we know exactly who Galal Yafai is. Let me just touch on Rodriguez Jr. Of his 39 wins, 27 of those have come inside the distance. And look, we know how tough those South Americans are. This man is no joke. This man has the opportunity to change his life. Been beaten by a couple of good fighters, Nakatani, Chocolatito, but he is the real deal. This is a tough test for Galal Yafai. If he was to come through this and look very good, it's a huge statement, Jamie.
Yafai versus Rodriguez Jr., the final hurdle for a shot at world honours. Yafai versus Rodriguez, your main event, 12 rounds tomorrow night, live only on DAZN.
Galal Yafai, Francisco Rodriguez. 12 rounds for the WBC Interim Flyweight Championship of the World. Matchroom Boxing live on DAZN from Birmingham, England.
Do you know what is most interesting, I think, Darren? He's been in this game a long time, Galal Yafai, 32 years of age, Olympic champion, 9 fights now as a professional, but I don't know if it's after the Sonny Edwards fight in particular, but just seeing him this week around the hotel, nothing phases him. No. He is the most composed fighters, especially on a stage like this, headlining, that I've come across.
Well, look, I think first and foremost, the two reasons for that are his amateur pedigree. That will do it for you. And also a win over a former world champion, Sonny Edwards. That will also do it for you. You know, you need that swagger. You need that bit of confidence shown. And that's exactly what we've got. Why not? He's that good of a fighter. But this is a real test.
Well, joining us now, Matchroom CEO, Mr. Frank Smith. Just for a quick final word. Frank, I'll ask you to map this out, because behind the scenes, you're obviously in charge of everything. When you look at the journey now for Galal Yafai, we've been calling this the final hurdle. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, look, many people would have thought the last fight would have been the final hurdle against Sonny Edwards. You know, as he said in the press conference yesterday, ring number 1 at the time of that fight. I use this one instead. Ring number 1 at the time of that fight, and we thought probably go straight into the world title fight, but look, he's got to get through this, and it's a real test on Saturday night as well, and he comes through that. He said likely goes to Japan, but we'd love to bring the fight to the UK as well. We all know how good Galal Yafai is, and you know, when we signed him, we knew he'd become a world champion, and to be, what, 9 fights in, you know, to be at this position, it just shows how talented he is, and the future's so exciting.
And for Conor Walker as well, we were talking about all week that the ultimate dream for him was to win the British title. Now he's done that, he's moved the goalposts, and everything is just a bonus. We know there's potentially a big rematch coming up later this year at 147 between Crocker and Donovan. Where do you see, all going well for Conor Walker tomorrow, fitting into that mix?
He's got a great, but look at the fan base he's got. You know, he's got a huge following, and that's a massive part of it. You know, he showed in that performance in January the heart, the grit, determination to come through, where he, you know, many people have written him off after a few rounds and didn't see him having a way back in that fight. So I think he's in a great position, get through Saturday. It's a tough fight against Liam Taylor, British title, and then as you go from there, look to build up the rankings. You know, he's high up in the governing body rankings already, and he'll continue to do that with good wins. And, you know, look, I think everything, like you saying, for him now is a bonus of where he can get to. And I think, you know, there's lots of opportunities for him as well.
A word on McGraw-Baluta. Serious fight.
Well, what were they saying? Because Eddie Hearn translated for us yesterday.
No, do you know what I said to Baluta? I spoke to him in Spanish, because you know I've got that little bit of Spanish. Like I can do hablo un poquito español. And then he thought I spoke fluent Spanish, and then he was trying to get me to translate. He was saying hat trick again, hat trick again, hat trick again. And McGraw actually said to me up there, he thought Eddie was being serious with his translation yesterday, and that's what he thought he said about Scousers yesterday. So he believed him. But what a fight! Yeah. Fair play as well to Peter McGraw for taking it on short notice. Yeah. Baluta's a problem. You know, sometimes people look at fighters' records, and if you look at the numbers, but if you actually watch the fights and see what Baluta's done, it's a real test. But McGraw wants real tests. Peter's at that stage of his career. He's been unfortunate. Obviously, the Dennis McCann fight fell through. Now Shabazz Massoud. This is a test on Saturday night, and then hopefully from here we can move quickly straight back into that Shabazz Massoud fight later in the year. And
I have to ask you this as well. Pat Brown, look, we know he's all action from what we've heard, from what we saw on the professional debut. Any dangers? Because we know he sold a lot of tickets in Manchester in just 2 weeks' time.
I mean, look, he said yesterday he's got to be cautious. He doesn't want to get cut. He doesn't want any injuries. But I don't think at the same time he can help himself from having a brawl. And that's why when he came into the office and he said, I love having a tear-up, that's why we said, perfect, you're the one for us. So, you know, I think he knows what he needs to do. He needs to go in there. It's a bit like, you know, on a different level. We've had fighters recently in interim fights for world titles. You've got to be a bit cautious. But with him, I just don't know if he knows how to be cautious and not have a brawl in there.
He loves it.
And as a company and as a sport, we're always looking for the next stars of this great sport before the bell has a few of them.
Yeah, 100%. Look, you got obviously as well TMA Hayton making her professional debut. I've been seeing clips of her all week of her career, not just in boxing, but across a whole different, you know, group of sports within the fighting world. And she's chosen boxing as the one to go forward with. 18 years old. She wants to move quickly, and she'll be challenging for a world title in not too many years.
How was the decision making, just quickly, to move Tia to the live broadcast?
I think because we're excited about what the future holds, you know, and we believe in what she can do. So for us, it made a lot of sense to put her on there. Giorgio Vizioli as well, who's probably one of the best prospects, we think, in today's boxing. We think he can go all the way. He's back out. Ibrahim Spider Suleiman as well. Aaron Bowen, Hamza Uddin. Just a stacked card from top to the bottom. So it's, you know, delighted to be back in Birmingham. Big old night, great atmosphere.
Okay, so much to look forward to tomorrow night then, live on DAZN, 4:30 p.m. for Before the Bell, 7 p.m. the live DAZN broadcast. From myself, Jamie Ward, from Frank Smith and from Darren Barker, we'll see you tomorrow night.
There may be Commonwealth gold, Olympic gold, and 9 professional wins. But my story has only just begun.
What a brilliant start by the Olympic champion.
I don't want to be a menacing smile from your fight.
There's only one way it will end.
Yafai is relentless.
World titles,
That is a quite sensational victory.
pound for pound,
Physical presence.
That was one of the most savage performances I've seen.
number 1.
The gasp from the crowd.
Wow, what a statement.
So remember the name and where you were when you first saw Galal Yafai.
Fight Night on DAZN, brought to you by that prize guy.
London life is all about living with differences. The opposites that attract, the riddles, the paradoxes, the exceptional and the contradictory. They're part of who we are. They make London what it is. You can feel it in the air. Cypress and Grapevine, Joe Malone, London.
Fight Night on DAZN, brought to you by that prize guy.